everybody. Welcome back to Mortgage Ballers. My name is Rich Hanlin, and I have one of our best of the best series interviews today, Mr. Ken Schmidt with Altitude Mortgage. Ken, thanks so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Ken, where are you located at?
We're in northern Colorado, so we're a little north of Denver. We cover Greeley, Loveland, Fort Collins area, a little bit into Wyoming. So our primary locations in northern.
Well, and some people say, do you not know that answer, Rich? And it's like, yes, I do. I do know the answer, but I want other people to know it. Because what you're going to find out today, we lined up 627 loan originators for 2024. We figured out who our top 25 were. And then we started, if you want to get top 25 of the total, not 25%, and then you can get into the top 15, the top 10. Well, not only Ken Schmidt, but one of his team members, Stephanie Gilbert, you have two people from the same team, and we're going to learn a little more about that. But that doesn't happen very often. Usually it's one team member has the all-star and then everybody else supports that. That's not the case with you guys. We also know that you guys have an incredibly close team. You're bringing up the next gen with you. You've been doing this for years, and I'm excited about this today because so many people say, oh, I have people that have the same license. Why is one person successful and why is one person filing bankruptcy and getting out of the business? Ken, I'm going to ask you that question because I want your thoughts. You've been doing this a long time. Over 400,000 originators at the end of 2021. We're down to like 93,000 as of just recent. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's a lot of thoughts around that, right? A lot of different reasons. I think this business can be very attractive to people for a number of reasons. You can make a great income. You can, create wealth through buying homes and doing a lot of things like that. You can get real granular into, I can control my schedule, and that's really attractive to people. But I think what a lot of people lose in this is this is not a job, at least not at my level. Like what I do, this is a lifestyle. And
Sure.
so when we go on vacation, my kids know that I might need to take 10 minutes and go into the coffee shop and pound out some emails and handle a couple of calls because that's what's helping us be on vacation, right? And I think a lot of people get into it, and we get this feedback from people who maybe want to join the team or, hey, I want to be a loan officer. What does it take? And yeah, gosh, I'm just tired of the grind at my other job. And I want to have a 9-to-5. Well, this is not a 9-to-5. And
No, it's not.
it doesn't matter how many loans you do and how successful you are. If you're not writing that pre-qual letter or you don't have a team to be able to write a pre-qual letter at Saturday night at 8 o'clock, somebody else will. And I don't think people, I think people underestimate how much sacrifice it takes to get there. And I get this a lot, and I'm sure other people do too, where people say, oh, it must be nice. Well, that drives me crazy because I work my tail off. Our team works our tail off, and we treat this as a business, and but it's beyond that. It's a lifestyle. Like this is what we do. This is what we live. My kids, they brought home a lead from their teacher, and I closed the teacher's loan, right? My kids know what I do, and they help promote me. Now, my kid got a little extra allowance that week too, but it's really a lifestyle. And I think that's why you see this attrition. People get in and they can start closing some loans, or they get in during the gravy years, which is your, rates are at 3% and people are just falling into your lap, but they don't know how to go out and treat it like a business. They don't know how to go out and do that daily. I don't know if I like the word grind, but that's kind of what it is, right? You have to get up every day. You got to do your activities. What I'm doing today is going to pay off 3 or 4 months from now. And it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And you got to stick in there. You got to have a lot of fortitude. And you have to be really good at accepting no's. And, it comes back to the Michael Jordan stuff, right? Where, how many shots did he miss and how many game-winning shots did he miss? But then how many championships did he win? And you're always going to miss, right? There's always going to be somebody out there that's going to have a better rate, a lower fee, a better program. Doesn't matter what you do to try to build that rapport. Maybe they go somewhere else, and you got to be able to pick yourself back up really quick and keep moving on and go help the next person that's going to appreciate what you do for them.
No, I appreciate that. One thing, I know that you're very humble. We talk about that off camera. Professional baseball has multiple levels: single A, double A, triple A, and then the big leagues. They're all professional baseball players. Well, that's no different. A lot of people aspire to make it to the big leagues. A lot of people aspire just to be drafted and play minor league baseball, who will never even get to the big leagues. But when you understand the big league level, and this is where I put you and your team, it's no longer a grind. I don't want to call it was a grind getting there, but now they're so accustomed to what brings them success. They do the same drills, but it's about quality, not about quantity. And they know their bodies, they know their strengths, they know their vision, and they don't mess around with a lot of different things because, they know what brings success. And that's what I see with you and your team, especially with the interview with Stephanie. We've talked about coaching. By the way, I'm putting another plug in. Ken is a top producer and also is back into coaching. But on top of Ken, how long have you been doing this?
I started lending in 1999. Started in the broker world. That's where I grew up. And it was, by the grace of God, I got in with the right people. They trained me the right way. They got me the right mentors. There were a lot of people that, got in around that time that I know that, couldn't sustain themselves.
A lot different.
Survived the recession, went over to the correspondent, bank side, and then ended up, credit union bank for quite a few years. And then, a couple of years ago, I just thought, man, what am I missing? There's something that doesn't feel good about what I'm doing. And part of that was lack of control. Part of that was culture. And so Stephanie and I, we were at the same company together, and we paired up and we talked about what would this look like if we did this. And, one of our main focuses is culture. I mean, that's so important. And you can get in and do a loan. You can do a loan this month, and you can do 5 loans this month, and you can do 20 loans this year and next year and the year after. But are you having fun while you're doing it? Are you helping people? Are you feeling good about what you do? Are you being a good steward in your community? And I just feel like, yeah, I don't want to, I won't get too far down this rabbit hole, but I've got some amazing retail friends, right? Like, you guys are awesome. I love you guys, but there's a different vibe when you're in retail. And when you come over to this side and what we do, you can do some amazing things, have a lot of control over it. But probably what I love the most about this side is I get to be really great friends and trusted advisors with a lot of other people in different companies, right? You don't get that on the bank side. You don't, they don't want you to talk to other people. They don't want you to know what they know, right? And so over here, it's really neat to get involved. Like with my coaching, there's people all over the United States that chime in on our blog posts about helping other people. And it might be something as simple as, hey, I'm going to do a presentation. And then all of a sudden there's 12 people sending different presentations in. They don't have to go recreate the wheel, but there's such a willingness to help that it just feels good at the end of the day, right? Because we all work our tail off, and we have those days where we get to the end of the day and we're like, wow, man, I'm tired. Everybody lifts each other up, and it's kind of like that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? And that's what we look
a few
at.
Times from my top producers. They've all seem to have read the same quote somewhere.
Yeah. And so it must be true then. But yeah, I think culture is really important. You don't want toxicity. This business is hard enough the way it is. Be around good people, be around people who can lift you up. Recognize that not every day you're going to have an amazing, stellar day, but if you're with the right tribe, you can get out of that and get back on track really quick.
No, I agree. I stand back and I watch everybody do this business. The broker world is kind of more individual, and then with Xpert, I've seen that you guys bring the team concept. That's the first time I've ever done that. I've always had individuals. Well, that's not the case with this company. I was like, okay, let's try this, see how this works. And some of you have been very successful in that, because when people work from their houses nowadays, not everybody works from a commercial spot. They can get very lonely, like you're out on an island by yourself. But you guys is it daily or is it weekly where you guys have meetups?
Yeah, we do a couple different things. So we're kind of spread out. So with Stephanie being up in Wyoming, we've got a few people up there. And then we've got people really spread out through northern Colorado and into the Denver area, actually. And so we do a Tuesday call with everybody.
Tuesday call.
And what we kind of changed this up recently to where we have a list of topics that we want individual loan officers to go out and research. So maybe I already know about AI, but I want somebody to go research AI and present it to the team.
Oh, I
We
like
feel
it.
like
I like it.
that helps with everybody's education in that topic, but it also helps that loan officer who's not being in the office every day or being in an office environment. It helps them with those skills, right? Being able to present, getting rid of some of the butterflies, getting rid of some of the jitters. That way, when they have a presentation to a referral partner, or a realtor, or financial planner, or whatever it is, they're more comfortable when they do that. So we do that every Tuesday, and then we have a what we call our open forum call on Thursday mornings, and that is simply Stephanie, I, or one of our other team members, Kayla, will lead the call, and people just come with whatever. It might be, hey, what's going on with this new FHA rule, for national stuff, or whatever it is, right? I need help structuring a file. I need help with how to overcome an objection. And it's just really everybody to sit in that same office, right? And be able to learn and grow and hear how somebody might present it differently than somebody else. So in addition to that, we do some fun team stuff. So we try to get together a couple of times a year where
Every
we
10
get,
years.
yeah, we're going to go to Mexico for 2 years. No, that's too much. Um,
But you
but
did just go to
we
Mexico
did just go to
recently.
Mexico. Yeah, we did. But we feel like getting together without it always being business and without it always checking emails, and we feel like that culture and that camaraderie is really important, especially in today's world where people are not in the office. And as well as I do, you start getting really expensive office space, and it starts raising your cost on every loan that you have to do. And if we're going to go out and provide a bang up service for people at a lower cost than what the banks and the other retail are doing, we've got to really pay attention to that overhead. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because we want everybody in an office, but because we hire for culture, we're not all in the same town. And we can't go get 7 different offices and make it economically viable. So we try to do a kind of a winterish activity, and then we'll do a summer activity. And Stephanie and I were just talking yesterday about what do we want to do for summer. And it's always something different. Last year we went to Cheyenne Frontier Days. Everybody got campers. Some of them rented motorhomes. I've got a friend
Wait,
that
where'd you
lives
go? Where
at,
did you just say you went?
at Cheyenne Frontier Days. So
Cheyenne
it's
Frontier Days. Okay.
end of July in Cheyenne, big rodeo, concerts, all kinds of stuff. I've got a buddy that lives about 15 minutes north of Cheyenne, a lot of acreage out there. And we just did a big shindig. Like everybody circled the campers. We had bonfires and barbecues and pancake breakfasts for everybody. Everybody brought their kids, and it was an
Well,
amazing time.
say you said something there, and I know the answer to this, but he doesn't. You guys have to understand this culture he's talking about. They also recognize how hard this industry is, and the spouses and partners and kids that are involved behind the scenes. Because if I remember right, you guys also bring them too on some of
Mhm.
these things.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, that's incredible. That is
Yeah.
incredible.
So, we this is a family thing, man. If my wife's not dialed in with what I do, I'm not having a good day, right? I mean, if she doesn't understand why I'm working at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night, it's really hard, and that might be a challenge that we
My
have with
wife ought
some.
to talk. They've been doing this a long time.
Well, she has a pretty healthy Amazon account, so she does fine, and we go on lots of vacations. But I think people that get into this, they don't understand that this is truly a family thing, because it does take time away from your
But yeah,
family, but it also creates better opportunities for your family, right? And so when we are on vacation, yeah, I got to go work in the morning for a half an hour, or I get up early before everybody's up and go knock out what I need to knock out. But man, some of that stuff I wouldn't be able to do if I weren't doing what I do, right? And so it's a challenge. But yeah, family and kids is huge, and we all, I would, most everybody's got kids, at least a spouse, and so we feel it's really important to dial them in. I got to tell you this. We did a really fun deal in January, and or yeah, end of January, And this kind of substituted for a holiday party. So, with Altitude Home Mortgage, we kind of have a flight theme. And so all of our, even when borrowers get disclosures out, it's all flight themed. Like, here's your, we're boarding now and we're going to have a safe landing. And so we have some fun around that. But we thought, okay, what are we going to do for a Christmas party? And everybody was so busy, we moved it to January. And we ended up doing a flight theme. And so we had a photographer come out, took pictures while everybody's eating and drinking, and everybody dressed up in flight gear. So some were pilots, some were the captains, some were the stewardesses, and man, they just had the greatest time. So it's always fun to put in a little theme on stuff too. It just helps lighten the mood, I think, instead of trying to go to a formal event, and just lighten everybody up. Have fun. Everybody is who they are, and that's how we want it to be. We want people to be who they are, and everybody respects everybody for who they are. And I think that's important, especially in today's world, because
Sure.
we won't go down this rabbit hole too far, but it's really tough, right? I mean, the world wants everybody to be somebody different. And I think the world secretly is just desperately wanting authenticity. And it's hard because you see people trying to be authentic and how they get persecuted for that. But we really embrace that authenticity. Like, be who you are, be respectful to everybody, right? I mean, we don't want somebody who's not respectful to themselves or other team members, but just be authentic with who you are. And I think that in itself allows people to grow, in whatever they're doing in life.
Yeah, we talked about I have found more value in or perfection in the imperfections. So many people want a perfect video. They want a perfect post on Facebook. They want the perfect picture. Let's do it 25 times. My sister, man, she was great. She didn't care. She lived life to the full. She passed away a couple months ago after Christmas, but she was my younger sister. But one thing I've learned from her over the years, she didn't care. She lived life. Oh gosh, she had 5 different groups of friends and they were always doing something. I just think, my gosh, what's going to go on? You're going to try and retire one day, aren't you? But I think she knew how to live life, and it rubbed off on me a little bit to not take myself so serious. The other part too is I'm where I'm at because somebody reached back and said, hey, have you ever thought about doing this, and kind of walked me through it. It was up to me to take to it or not take to it, but I had a much different path scheduled for my life. And reaching back, and that's what you guys do, is you bring people onto your team and they get to see top producers day in and day out. I mean, there's no education out there that you can buy. There's coaching, but there's a difference when you get to be under or around top producers day in and day out. You get to hear them talk. You get to hear them how they do their days. You get to hear. It's just a different set of structures that once it's ingrained, it never ends. I know what my averages are if I do these 10 things. And those work for Rich. They might not work for Ken, but you guys have your own. But I would bet money we have things that overlap. I wake up, I know I'm not going to fail. It's not that I'm not going to fail. I know I'm not going to fail because if I do this, this, and this, it's always come through for me. I might have to sprinkle in some extra salt and pepper. But on top of that, I know how to get loans. I know how to stay in front of my people. I know how to make my people, they don't forget me. I don't just hit them with a drive-by loan and never talk to them again. Some people I've done 20, 30, 40 loans for over the last 35 years. And yes, I said 35 years. How crazy is that? What I want to know, I know you do loans. Most of the people that know you know that you're a top performer. You're part of an incredible team that has multiple top performers. And this year, probably even more. I want to ask you, when you're not in loan mode, when you're not going 100 miles an hour and you're able to shut it off and you're not taking that phone call, what kind of hobbies do you have? What kind of things do you and your wife or your family, stuff like that? I want to hear the human side of you.
Okay, here we go. So that one's actually pretty simple. So we are avid Bronco fans. We've got season tickets to the Broncos, so we do a lot of sporting events. Okay. Although I'm never totally off because I got a loan last year at the Bronco game from the guy sitting next to me. So yeah, do what you do, right?
Do what you do.
So we really, the kids are older now. So we have 4 kids. We have one out of the house. So we already have a couple of grandbabies. And then we have a 16-year-old at home and 14-year-old twins. And so they're busy. Like that kind of kind of dialed things back a little bit. Everybody who has kids that have been in high school and with activities, that kind of dampers what you're able to do sometimes. So we're really invested into that right now. But we love to travel. I would say if I had to pick out one personal thing, like what's my sit back and rejuvenate thing, I really got into bourbon a few years ago.
Okay.
And it was totally by chance. We were actually on a vacation, and buddy of mine talked me into going to a tasting, and I got to learn a little more about it. And it's not about the spirit itself, it's about the history of it and the tantric
Yeah.
side of that. And it really started to fascinate me. So we've been out to Kentucky numerous times with some charity groups and picking out barrels and doing some really fun stuff. But man, I just getting together with some of my buddies and some of my real estate people and just saying, hey, great month. Let's go sit and have a little pour. And it really opened up a lot of new business for me when I started doing that, ironically. So I say it's one of those things where I unwind, but it also changed a lot of business for me. I mean, there were people that I've been trying to do business with for years, and then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, do you want to go have a pour of whiskey? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. So it was a way to connect with people also, but
Hmm.
it's a way to connect without having to talk about business, right? And talk about politics and talk about what's going on in the world. And there's just something different with it. I've met some of the neatest people around that. So it's quickly become a passion. If you ever come to the house and see the basement, which hopefully you will one of these days. We have a fun little spot down there, and we have people over. We do some charity events around that. We do some whiskey tastings, and we'll do some education around it. And yeah, that was really fun last year. We did a couple of them and raised a couple $1,000s for some men's groups around that. So
I like it. I like it. I have a lot of different bourbons. I enjoy old fashions, and whenever I travel, they'll say, "Well, what do you want?" And I'll say, "Well, give me what you'd recommend," because I can tell you, in Springfield, Missouri, I had one at a place, and they had smoked wood, a piece of wood on top, and it was sprinkling inside, and I gave that a 10. The presentation, the taste, the smell, and then everything gets compared to that one because it was so good that everybody at the table tried it. It smelled good, it tasted good. We ended up with 4 that day because I was just like, this is incredible. But I love trying old fashions and letting them introduce me to new taste. And it's funny when you run into some of the similar ones, but my sons own some barrels as well. And they're much more connoisseurs than I am. I haven't gotten that far. Um, I've got that at Christmas time. We were excited because we got them some Whistle Pig, if I'm saying that right, which actually came in the Golden Pig, which was hard to find. And they were so excited because they had camped out and couldn't get it. And I'm like, hey, it's right there. But in all honesty, I was drinking so many old fashions that I had to stop. My kidneys started hurting. So now it's only on a special occasion if I'm traveling, something like that. And I know to keep it at 1. But Glenn Thomas shared something with me, and it falls right in line with what you said. And I can see why this worked. He said his grandfather, who is um, John Lee Hooker, and he's a blues guitarist out of Atlanta. He had his own brand. I think it was called Boogie Chillin', which based on a song. So he got into it this last year, got his own label, and he was telling me the reason he revived it is because his grandfather, who was like his dad, shared with him that, hey, when you're ready to sit down and have a conversation, like, what are you talking about? Grandpa, I'm always talking to you. He goes, no, no. When you're ready to talk, talking to him meant we're going to give us a pour. We're going to sit down and we're going to sip on that because he was in college. He just, as fast as he could drink it. But he said that's where he turned into an hour and a half, 2 hour conversation where they sipped on these drinks. And as grown men, they have these great conversations. They tasted the bourbon. They smelt the bourbon. They could talk about what they were tasting. And when you can relate on something, do you think they talked about other things in life? Like you guys, yeah, work's going to come up. It always does. But when you don't have to lead with that and you find these commonalities and people can relax and say, you know what, Ken, you're all right. You're all right. By the way, let's do a deal next time. That's how my
yeah.
trusted relationships have come in. Um, And those are, Stephanie had said something. She only works with realtors she likes, right? She's not going to play those games anymore. And I'm at that point in my life too. I know the difference of a drive by, and I know the difference of those that I want to work with, the people I want to see win because they want to see me win. We're lifting each other's families. We both have kids and wives or husbands or whatever. And when you're on that level playing field like that, you know, quality begets quality begets quality. That's what I'm after. I'm 35 years in, Ken. I'm right there with you, man. I want quality, not quantity. And whatever
Mhm.
that quality means, if it's 5 loans in a month, or if I have a month where I do 20 loans, whatever it lines up, as long as it's meeting that requirement, I sleep really good at night. And I know I've done right by those who have trusted me to help them with probably the biggest financial decision of their life. And then they get a little bit more 35 years of experience, and maybe we have a pour on top of it.
Well, and I'm glad that you bring that up. And I think that's the thing. Even with our team or other people with other companies that think they might want to join Altitude, we talk about that. They're like, "Well, we want to be like you, or we want to close what Stephanie's closing, or I've had months where I've closed 50, 55 loans in a month, and I don't know if I want to do that, right? Like you can be your own top producer at 5 loans a month, and if that changes your life and that fulfills you, then that's absolutely okay. It doesn't have to be 20 or 50 or 100. Just do quality and be around quality people. And I think the hardest thing for people in this industry to do is get to a point where you can turn down business and you can say, this is not healthy for me or my team. This is not a good relationship. And sometimes, unfortunately, you have to fire a referral partner. And I think, yeah, too many times people get out there and they say, well, gosh, the lender is the one that has to do everything for everybody and always be going the extra mile, right? Well, I look at it a little differently. Like, I want a symbiotic relationship. So if you're my realtor partner, we need to be in lockstep with each other because I need to trust you and you need to trust me. I'm going to stay out of your lane, you stay out of my lane, and we're going to get to the finish line. But if you're looking at me that I'm a level down from you because I'm just the lender, I don't want to do business with you. I want somebody who's going to look at me like, oh, I need Ken and Ken needs Rich. And then we're going to go develop this power team and we're going to go out and close a lot of deals and help a lot of families in the community. And by doing that and doing a lot of deals, now we're able to give back in the community. And now we're able to do other things that we couldn't do in other professions, right? But you have to be in sync with each other. And I've been through those years where I got abused by relationships and it's not fun. So I guess for any new people out there or people that have been in the industry and they're stuck in that, it's okay. You got to give it up. I remember the year that I gave up a lot of toxic referral partner relationships. And for about 6 months, it stressed me out. I'm like, was that the right thing to do? It's absolutely the right thing to do. Go find the right people. And especially now, I mean, realtors, that attrition rate's coming too, right? Maybe not as dramatic as our end of it, but that it's coming. And so go network and go help each other build business and go be with people that you like to be around. Because if that's the worst, like you get involved in a transaction and you don't like being around that person, let alone doing business with them, that is a strain on your day. Those are the days you're going to go home and go, dang, maybe I should go work at Target, right? So I think that's another reason why a lot of people may bail on this industry. But man, I'll tell you what, for those that can stick through it, treat it like a career, treat it like this is a lifestyle, you can have some amazing rewards. And I'm not talking about just personally, like I'm talking about my family, my community, the charities that we're able to get involved with, going out and picking a whiskey barrel, right? That's going to make $10,000 for a charity. Like what I couldn't do that if I was working at Target. And I'm not no disrespect to Target, right? But if you want it, you can go get it. You can do whatever you want to do in this business. You just have to be around the right people, be around the right tribe, have people that support you. Don't BS people. Just be who you are, right? And if you don't know, you don't know. Like I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I don't know. I all this new FHA stuff coming through the pipe. I've already had 3 realtors this morning reach out to me about it. And I'm like, well, I know high level about it, but let me get the details and I'll circle back with you later today. I don't need to know everything. I just need to know people
And
who,
they're okay with that,
yeah,
right? Because they
absolutely.
trust you. They go to their trusted source and they're like, this is the thing. One call, if Ken doesn't know it right away, I'll know he'll get it and get it right back to me. And they trust that process. One of the questions I was always going to ask is what kind of advice you could give. And you just gave it, quite honestly. So you answered, you went right into that. You beat me to the question.
Because I read minds too, Rich. I mean, isn't that what we do? We're all kind of part-time psychologists in what we do too. So.
Absolutely. I always tell people I'm a full time marketer, and occasionally I get to do a loan. And they're like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Well, I spend more time answering questions and marketing to get questions. I go after conversations, and I'm open to any conversations anybody can give me, and I'm not going to sell them anything. I welcome it. I'll get you the answers because I know if I'm available like that and it's not a like, oh God, I won't call Rich because he's just going to sell me. Let's take a nap. It's like, no, that's the last conversation we're going to have. And sometimes I'm not the best place to do what they want to do, and I can give them some advice. We can use our knowledge of our own personal things that we've done in life to give people advice like, well, I've done that and I've done that and I've done that. Um, and it's okay to be one of the older people in the industry. I would like to see more young people come in, but I'll be honest with you, what it takes for the young people to come in, it takes incredible teams like Altitude
Mhm.
that can handhold them. They can learn because there are people that will teach them wrong all day long. I am not a trigger lead person. That is not the industry. That is a interesting part of it. But would I do that for 35 years? Absolutely not. That is not the path of Rich Hanlin. But I can teach people how to have quality relationships. And guess what? I started very slow and I built. Catherine Barnett talks about she farms and grows and nurtures her database, right? She's really in tune to them. And I'm like, yeah, that's very true. I didn't use that word, but I'm also very in tune to my database. If I see something on Facebook, I want to know. I can remember things very specific about every one of my clients, why they did a loan, how much money I saved them, and what they were going to do with it. Whether they did that with it or not, I don't know. Um, Not always kids' names, but I remember we did that loan to get your daughter into USC. How did that go? Things that are like, how do you remember all that? And I'm like, I don't remember everything. I just remember like one thing from each conversation. Like today, I will not forget that you like bourbon. I will not forget that you have bourbon down in your basement and it's hidden from the rest of the world. And I know where to get it now. No, I'm kidding.
Well, and so with that, like it's really interesting. I mean, that you say all that because when you and I got into the business, right? We had to write everything down on a yellow legal pad. We didn't have all the technology. So the technology nowadays helps us with all of that nurturing. And so even if you get to a day and you're like, dang, does Ken like bourbon or iced tea? You can go back to this video, right? We didn't have all that growing up in the business. And so I think it's a lot easier even for the younger people to come in. First of all, they're way better at technology than I am.
Well,
Like
they
my
run
12-year
circles
old
around us.
or my 14-year-old said that he would do some of my videos for me because that's my goal this year is to do more videos and become vulnerable with that. And he's like, Dad, I'll $20 a video and I'll caption it for you. And I'm like, gosh, this is crazy. So, but the younger people, if they have such a head start from where we started at because of all the technology, because of all the instant, I mean, you can go get trained up and you can do trainings at night. You and I had to go sit in classes for 8 hours a day, right? So they really have an advantage, but they always need to remember that fortitude. Like you've got to have fortitude and you got to have some thick skin. And you have to treat it like this is your career. It's not going to come easy. And be around, like we talked earlier, be around the right people and be around this is the hard part to figure out with anybody, right? Like what's the ulterior motive?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of other places out there that will bring on new people and all they want to do is use up their immediate referral database, the friends, the family, whatever. And then when they're done using them up, they have no support. So
Mm.
if there's anybody new out there listening, ask those questions. What do I do after you close my mom's loan and my uncle's loan and my friend's loan? What kind of continued support do I get? because that's where people are going to fail. It's really easy to go in and knock it out of the park in your freshman year. That sophomore slump, if you don't have the right team, man, that's going to kick you in the gut. So, you got to be around the right team. You got to be around people that don't have this big ulterior motive. Like if they truly want to help you grow, I feel like you'll get that vibe when you talk to them.
I like it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's what happens when you grab a top producer and you hold them down for 45 minutes in the middle of their work week. First of all, thank you so much for coming on and just bringing value after value after value. I want to say thank you for your partnership with Altitude, with your team, with Xpert Home Lending. I know you guys can go anywhere you want. You probably get solicited all the time. Whether I get you for a day, an hour, 20 years, whatever it is, we're a partnership. And I thank you for that partnership. And I thank you for just freely giving that kind of information, because anybody who's willing to push play and just listen will learn a lot. Like so many people make this so hard, and it's like, why does it seem so easy for them? It's like, oh, it was hard, but we figure things out and we stop doing the things that cause the pain and we focus on the things that cause more. I'm not saying my days are easy, but they don't stress me out as much. There's sometimes that loans are a little bit more than I'd like to deal with. But once I take one on, I'm going to see it through to the end, no matter how hard it is, because I took it on. If I don't take it on, then praise God, I didn't go down that route. But if I do, we're going to see it through together. But Ken, I want to say thank you so much for your time. Thanks for letting me just capture you on video, finding out more about you, about your team. So many people are going to want to watch this video. I bet you'll have 10,000 views on this, and you should. Congratulations on your success, being the best of the best.
And thank you for doing this. Like that's an honor to me. Thanks for taking the time to put this together. Hopefully somebody out there will get a tidbit, and really, like, you can go achieve whatever you want to achieve. It may sound cliche, but just work, be around the right people, and find a good process, and it'll all come together.
Right on. Well, as I close it up, like every successful video, when we capture a best of the best on Mortgage Ballers, we say it like it is. Stay thirsty, my friends. Ken, thanks so much. I do appreciate your time today.
You bet.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Whoops.